Today, we're going to take a closer look at my favorite semiconductor company, NVIDIA, and we can see it had an amazing day today. The stock was up nearly 8.4%, sitting at $469.67. We can see market cap of roughly $1.16 trillion. Year to date, the stock is doing amazing, 228% up year to date. On today's episode, what I want to do is take a closer look at what we know about NVIDIA so far, especially with all these high expectations that we have for this company and their upcoming earnings that are expected to be released Wednesday after the market closes. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. Okay, like I mentioned, earnings is scheduled August 23rd on Wednesday after the market closes. Here we can take a closer look on what on the Google values, and earnings per share is expected to be roughly $2.09, and the revenue expected is roughly $11.12 billion. And for those that are not familiar, this is going to be a record quarter for NVIDIA if they do meet those expectations. We can see NVIDIA's quarter one fiscal year of 2023, which was calendar year of 2022. There are about a year ahead in their fiscal year, was their peak. And this was during that crypto boom. And during that time, they made roughly $8.3 billion, still nowhere near as close as that $11.1 billion that is expected at the end of this or during this earnings call. So we can see that, hey, analysts are expecting a lot. But if we take a closer look at NVIDIA and their most recent guidance, the company did share that they are expecting revenue to be roughly $11 billion plus or minus 2%. Most of that is driven by data center, reflecting a steep increase in demand related to generative AI and large language models. This demand has extended their data center visibility out a few quarters, and they have procured substantially higher supply for the second half of the year. So we can see right off the bat, NVIDIA themselves are expecting a huge quarter, and it's pretty much a little bit below that revenue expectations, but we can see analysts are expecting a little bit more than what NVIDIA is guiding. So let's take a closer look at some stuff that happened today or earlier this week. But before we go any further, guys, I just want to say thank you for the support. We just hit 27.3 subs. I'm trying to hit 30,000 by the end of the year. So if we can hit 27.4 by today or tomorrow, that would be awesome. You guys know me. I love the semiconductor market. I do have a master's degree in electrical engineering. I used to work at some amazing, innovative companies, and I do have a membership program here. Just click join, where I do weekly exclusive videos, and I also have a Discord channel that just came out yesterday meant for anybody in this membership. If you want to just check out some other special offer, check out fool.com/Jose. That have a special offer there. And finally, if you just want a free newsletter, check out josenaharo.substack.com. Finally, I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode. All right, so let's see what we have. So in the past few days, we've seen a numerous amount of analysts increasing their overall price targets. We saw earlier today that KeyBank's John Vin added roughly $70 to his target for NVIDIA, taking it to $620. One of the main reasons is they expect quarterly results and near-term guidance meaningfully above consensus expectations based on surging demand and improving supply chains. So we can, if you guys haven't seen this channel, I've talked about it in the past, but we have seen reports in the past few days that NVIDIA is expected to sell roughly 550,000 H100 GPUs this year. That's roughly $25 billion based on certain expectations, 24, 25, but we can see a good portion of revenue this year is already accounted for based on these reports that NVIDIA is excelling a nice amount of GPUs, mainly their H100. They are seeing that, hey, we continue to see this high demand, and that's expected, right? We are seeing all over the map new GPU, new AI solutions come out, and obviously things like ChatGPT, Midjourney, Runway. We continue to see numerous AI generative solutions also appear. We saw big tech like Meta, like Google, like Microsoft, like Amazon all say that they are increasing their capital expenditure. Most of that is obviously going to go on the H100. Kind of continuing with this analyst, they also believe that NVIDIA should benefit from incremental CoWoS or chip on wafer on substrate capacity coming online on Amkor in fiscal quarter three, in addition to TSMC. They do notice he kind of gives a target of 12.5 billion for this quarter. 12.5 billion is a lot, especially since most analysts are expecting on average of roughly 11.1 billion, and they expect a guidance of 14 billion for the next, including 10 billion dollars of data center chip sales. So a lot to unpack there. First, we are seeing this CoWoS capacity or chip on wafer on substrate capacity. For those that are not familiar, to create these semiconductor solutions or these H100s, you need to do something that's called advanced packaging, and that's the back end of semiconductor manufacturing. I actually talk about that in my membership program, I believe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So if you haven't, make sure to join the membership. And one of the things is one of the big players, TSMC, they manufacture the wafers, which is the front end, but they are having a lot of bottleneck on the back end, which is these advanced packaging. So NVIDIA is kind of partnering up with other players to try to see if they can help out with that advanced packaging solutions. We saw about a month ago that NVIDIA was rumored to secretly aid Amkor to support AI advanced packaging. And if we take a closer look at Amkor's most recent earnings, which they reported July 31st, the CEO did mention that demand for advanced packaging increased in the second quarter, notably demanded for consumer wearable products and for high performance computing devices. I wonder who that high performance computing devices could be. So overall, we can see that NVIDIA is definitely focusing on improving those supply chain issues. We also heard about a month ago when TSMC reported earnings that they are increasing their back end kind of packaging capacity. We can see that in about a quarter during their earnings, they mentioned that they're roughly going to increase their capacity by 2x within the year or so. So we can see this analyst believes that NVIDIA, because they're getting more capacity from Amkor, because TSMC is also building up more capacity, then NVIDIA will be able to give us a nice guidance for the upcoming quarter and be able to achieve some great numbers for this upcoming earnings. Obviously, I think 12.5 is pretty crazy, but if they do that, that would be amazing. Kind of continuing down the line, they also mentioned that they believe that NVIDIA has been able to secure incremental capacity at TSMC as a result of the push out of ramp of AMD's MI300X. And this one got me a little bit confused because we are seeing that AMD is expected to come out with their MI300, which is starting production in the fourth quarter. There are some reports that I've heard comments. I haven't really seen actual newsletter or topic on this, but there are reports that the MI300X might be being pushed out a little bit due to some supply chain issues. And if that's the case, then maybe NVIDIA might grab a nice amount of other capacity that was kind of saved for the MI300. So this one kind of got me a little bit confused, but we have to see maybe from later dates if we get any more information of the MI300, or maybe this analyst is just saying that, hey, since the MI300 is expected to start production in the fourth quarter, that pretty much leaves NVIDIA's kind of CoWoS capacity from TSMC empty in the second quarter and the upcoming third quarter, and probably most of the fourth quarter, as that's when AMD starts that ramp. So I'm not sure which way the analyst meant it there, if there was that kind of issue with the supply chain for AMD's MI300, or because the MI300 is expected in the fourth quarter to start production, it kind of gives NVIDIA plenty of time to really have a nice amount of full capacity here with the chip on wafer on substrate advanced packaging. Another thing that this analyst was pretty excited about was NVIDIA's L40S. And they mentioned that this is a great CPU because it doesn't meet the performance threshold for export restrictions. So they don't have to kind of, it's easy to ship this out to China and other places. The other thing about this is it doesn't require that kind of advanced packaging. And it's also at a nice favorable price of roughly $8,000. And they expect this lineup to kind of fulfill some of the pent-up demand in the near term, particularly in China. And I think the L40S is an amazing product. I actually got more into it after the news came out. But the L40S, for those that are not familiar, came out on August 8th of 2023. This is during the SIGGRAPH conference keynote. NVIDIA announced this product. They mentioned that the L40S enables up to 1.2x more AI generative inference performance and 1.7x training performance compared to NVIDIA's A100 Tensor Core GPU. So the L40S is doing amazing. The great thing about L40S is, look, it's selling for roughly $8,000. And this is actually just using the same chiplet as NVIDIA's gaming chips, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But this L40S is an upgrade to the L40 GPU, which was announced in March 21st of 2023. I do believe the biggest jump here is the power that the L40S consumes. It consumes a little bit more power, so it has more kind of frequency or kind of just more computational power than the L40. But here, the L40S and the L40 actually use the AD102 GPU, and that's kind of the chipset. And the chipset that uses the AD102 is the one that is used on NVIDIA's RTX 4090. So the RTX 4090 is also used in the L40 and the L4. So I think this is pretty insane right off the bat. The AD102 is the 4090, which pretty much sells for about $1,800, I believe, something in the high price point. But instead, NVIDIA has kind of used this kind of consumer product, put it into a data center product, and is selling it for $7,000 to $8,000. Now that blows my mind, and we can see the overall margins improvements is obviously going to be much, much higher. Now, we also saw some other analysts increase the overall price target. We saw HSBC analyst Frank Leo lift the price target to $780. I think that's insane, but if that happens, obviously I will be super excited, as NVIDIA is my number one position with roughly 15 to 20% of my overall portfolio. We also saw earlier this month that UBS analysts increased the price target of NVIDIA to $540. Overall, it's just because of the huge demand of NVIDIA's A100, H100 product, but obviously all their other data center solutions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Obviously, we looked at what the analysts were talking about, but I provided more commentary and showed more information of what they meant behind the scenes. So hopefully everybody understands. Again, I do believe the L40S is insane. NVIDIA is kind of saying, hey, look, we have this weakness in the consumer market. Let's kind of create a new product that we're going to be able to use on the data center market and really increase the overall margins. So NVIDIA is doing some great moves. I'm definitely excited to see earnings. Obviously, I'm hoping for the best, but just like any investment, you always should be expecting the worst. I do believe in the short term, NVIDIA could be hit with numerous things like supply chain issues, and that definitely could drive the stock price down. In the long term of things, I do believe NVIDIA will be a massive, massive giant. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.